Company Foundation, Mr. Gary Butch Hendrickson and his dear wife, Heidi. Mr. Brian Jardine, Chair of the NBC Foundation. Honorable Glenn Christian, Chairman and CEO of CariMed Group and Head of the Private Sector Task Force. Professor Dale Weber, PVC and Principal of the UWI Mona Campus. Professor Michael Taylor, Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, Mona Campus. And Dr. Andre Coy, Associate Dean of the Faculty. Mr. Alok Jain, Consultant to the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Mr. Daniel Mullins, President of the Guild Committee of the Faculty of Science and Technology. Dr. Sharon Bramwell Layla, Lecturer in the School of Education in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Ms. Trudy Deans, Senior Advisor to the Prime Minister. Or distinguished members, I would say, of the STEM community. And distinguished members of the Hendrickson family, including married Craig, Amanda Hendrickson, Alwyn Clark, Laura Ann Samuels, Tiffany Wong. Or dear, also recognize Camille Edwards from the Marketing and Communications team and Mr. Alex Clark, a student, soon fellow. Joining us virtually, we're very honored to have the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, and from her ministry, the Robert of State, Dr. Grace McLean, Permanent Secretary. Online, all the way from Boston, we have Professor Orlando Patterson, Chair of the Jamaica Education Transformation Committee. We also have Dr. Aspern Pinnock, Principal, President of the Micro Campus, the Micro University College. Dr. Marcia Rainford, Director of the School of Education, the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Faculty members, students who are online, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all, good morning. I'm very pleased to note that we are observing protocol. It's my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you all today. And like all of you, thrilled, I was going to say I'm tickled pink, or should I say tickled blue, to be a part of this important event. I must, however, extend apology on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Sir Hilary Beckles, who is unavoidably absent today, as is in off-campus meetings off island. And he sends his greetings, his commendation, and his gratitude to all the stakeholders involved in this timely initiative. And actually, he said as soon as he gets back, he would have been vaccinated for the second time. And he'll welcome the opportunity to host all of us to really express his gratitude to the partners for this bold and innovative and timely response. Since the beginning of the Vice Chancellor's tenure at UWI, he has advocated an approach that seeks to align the university and its offerings to the needs of each nation and the region in order to facilitate sustainable development, growth, and competitive economies. Though I'm a social scientist, I've now gotten to understand that education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, has been the underpinning for the growth of all strong economies in modern times. So as we move to our role, and as we move deeper into the fourth industrial revolution. Prioritizing STEM education is essential if we as a nation are to foster innovation, facilitate new jobs, and create sustainable growth. So increasing as jobs are required. And it stated that in 10 years from now, up to 80% of all jobs will require knowledge of or skills derived from education in STEM. Simply put, STEM is the future. I'll share with you a concrete example that comes to us from Australia. It has been determined that changing just 1% of the workforce into STEM roles would add some $57 billion to the GDP, gross domestic product. Reports suggest that advanced and math sciences make a direct contribution to the Australian economy of around $249 billion, which represent 22% of the GDP. STEM is a significant driver of economic growth. The private sector there and the public sector have always invested in STEM education with the aim of both short-term and long-term return on investment. Provided scholarships for students to study at the tertiary level, as well as investing in innovative STEM programs at the secondary level. And the sector works to ensure that there is a steady flow, a steady supply of students studying STEM subjects. On from the university, these students most often use their skills in the companies invested in STEM programs, them with training. But it takes a true visionary to recognize that sustainability demands the best of our graduates, science and math graduates, contribute to the education system that trained them. So when quality STEM graduates teach, quality STEM students are produced. So ladies and gentlemen, we're here this morning to launch the National Company Foundation STEM Enhancement Scholarship Fund. This partnership between private sector, the UE, and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information represents truly transformative approach to with the challenges of STEM and our future. So over the next 30 minutes, learn from key stakeholders. The initiative will boost the quality of teaching and the quantity of STEM teachers and students at the secondary level. Understand that this is more than an altruistic gesture. This is a hard-nosed decision to invest in STEM education, generate long-term rewards to the National Baking Company and for Jamaica. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite our Professor Michael Taylor to give an overview, and Andre Coy to give an overview of the BOOST program. And our crew is so honored to have a video from Professor Orlando Patterson, chair of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, who will provide his endorsement of the program. Thank you. Professor?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols have been observed. I want to share with you today an overview of the BOOST program. I'll be talking about the motivation to develop this program, and Professor Taylor will go into some of the details of this program. The need for trained high school students who have acquired the skills that come through training in STEM is an immediate national imperative. We need these graduates in our workforce. We need STEM graduates to help us develop new knowledge and to create additional wealth within our economy. Such graduates are imperative to our national development. And yet the World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness Report for 2017 and 18 has highlighted that Jamaica is 73rd out of 137 countries as it relates to quality science and mathematics teaching. We are far from where we need to be. And so what we need is to have a cohort of quality, trained, motivated, and knowledgeable STEM teachers in order to develop the STEM graduates that we are so desperately in need of. Much has been said about the challenges of training and retaining sufficient numbers of science and math teachers in our high schools. Attrition of science teachers is a significant problem. The associated complications of supplying the required numbers of teachers adds to the problems that we are facing. If we consider the years 2014 and 15, it would have been seen that over 500 trained science and mathematics teachers left the system. And recent analysis has shown that this rate of attrition is increasing. So we are in a significant problem. Many of these teachers do not want to leave the system, but they are forced to do so because of the issues that they might have faced remaining in the classroom. Most of those issues surround remuneration. And so it is in recognition of these facts and in the desire to make a positive contribution to the solution of this problem that the BOOST program was conceived. The program to build out our science teachers. What BOOST plans to do is to address the issue of the quantity of trained science teachers. BOOST addresses the dire need to have quality trained science teachers. Though there have been many initiatives in recent times to address this problem, there are some significant barriers to their execution. Most people have been trained under the government's initiatives to train science and mathematics teachers. They either pay off their bond or they do not remain within the classroom. The BOOST program attempts to address some of these issues with an immediate impact on the quantity and quality of our trained science graduates teaching in our classrooms. And I will ask Professor Taylor now to give us the details of how the BOOST program will address these significant issues. Prof. Taylor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Coy. So Andre has outlined the problem that we're trying to solve. And it is not that there were not answers on the table before. Certainly there were answers. And one of the answers is, of course, the scholarship program. But the traditional scholarship says, give a student who is leaving high school a scholarship, let them go through 3 years of university and then bond them for another 2 to 3 years. The challenge with that, of course, is that students are a little hesitant after leaving high school because they have not made up their minds about what they want to do. The challenge with that is that students see a bond as onerous, and it's a demand and not something that they want to do willingly. And of course, the challenge with that is that sometimes students have not yet recognized the value of what a teacher and being a teacher is. In this program, we take that answer and turn it into a solution by simply flipping the scholarship model. The BOOST program flips the scholarship model in 10 clear ways. So 1, dream with me. What if 1, we could give an up to 3-year scholarship Just as if you were coming into the university, you would have gotten a scholarship for each year of study, and that scholarship would be valued for the full tuition for 1 year. Dream with me. 2, what if we could make that scholarship a back-end scholarship? So you are only eligible to apply for that scholarship when you are in your final semester of the university. You apply for the scholarship when you are leaving. Dream with me. 3, what if that scholarship was a STEM scholarship? So it is only available to students who are doing STEM degrees. For example, the BSc Science and Math majors, BSc Science and Math majors with education majors or minors, or the BSc Education students with science majors and minors. 4, what if that scholarship were a STEM teacher scholarship? So students who are leaving apply for a scholarship, and the 10 best applicants will be placed in a high school with a need for STEM teachers to teach their subject specialty immediately following their degree. 5, what if that was a scholarship that gives back? So the first payment of the scholarship only becomes payable after the student has completed 1 year of teaching in the school. And that would be, of course, in addition to any regular pay that the student would have received as a teacher of science in the schools. In other words, what if after teaching 1 year, you give them a scholarship that refunds 1 year of their tuition? Dream with me. 6, what if that were a scholarship that not just gives back, but gives back more? So what if the student had a student loan? That refund of the money of the 1 year's tuition would go straight to paying off that student loan. After 1 year of teaching, you receive a refund of your tuition. If it's a student loan, it pays it off. 7, but what if that were a scholarship that incentivizes excellence? So you teach for 1 year, your tuition is refunded, 1 year of your tuition is refunded through the scholarship. But then if you do an excellent job on the recommendation of your principal and on the premise of the results of the students, you could get an extra incentive of $500,000. Dream with me. 8, what if it were also a scholarship that gave a head start? So in much the same way, when you are coming in as a student, you can apply for a 3-year scholarship. What if you could renew that scholarship for up to 3 years? So after 1 year of teaching in the classroom and receiving your tuition refund for 1 year and your incentive of $500,000, you decide this is something I like and I will renew the scholarship for a 2nd year. And again, I am refunded tuition and receive an incentive. And then, just like if you had gotten a 3-year scholarship coming in, you renew it for up to a 3rd time. Again, you receive a refund of your tuition and you would have received an incentive. Dream with me. 9, what if that was a scholarship that in addition to giving them back, refunding their 3 years and incentivizing them, it gives them a head start? So a student who would spend 2 years in the program has a summer in between. What if we took that summer and we used that summer on the entry to give them some introduction to science teaching so that they don't go into the classroom blind? Well, what if they renew for another year and we took that summer and gave them life skills, networking opportunities, and outreach to other students? We have given them a head start. And lastly, dream with me. 10, what if it could be a scholarship that keeps on giving? Every year we would take in a cohort of 10. By the time we have finished 6 years of this, we would have put 60 new science teachers in the classroom. Boost is an innovative UE private sector back-end incentivized scholarship initiative that takes the best science and education students and puts them in the classroom for up to 3 years. But let me end by saying, or let us end by saying, we'd have to flip the model in one more way for it to work. If you were to calculate the cost of this program in excess of 150 million, we need to flip the model for dealing with STEM education by making it into a partnership model. This is where we salute the vision of the National Baking Company Foundation, who immediately saw value in this kind of dreamt scholarship and came on board as partners in this what if dream. We also want to acknowledge that other partnerships are important. And as we develop the programs in the summer to meet the needs of teachers, the Micro University College has also come on board to partner with the Faculty of Humanities and Education in developing the programs for teachers going into the system. And then we're exploring the partnerships for mentorship. We're exploring the partnerships for other leadership opportunities through the various arms of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, our teachers' unions, and our teachers' associations. This is a transformational program. It will transform the quantity, the new cohort of STEM teachers, 60 over the year. It will transform the quality. Only the best will become NBC fellows. It will be very targeted, so we match need with competence. It taps into volunteerism, students giving back and getting back in return. It's a new model of collaboration, and it's a boost for the students, for STEM education, and for national development. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm truly pleased and honored to be invited to share in the launch of this very important program. But let me begin by saying that the significance of this initiative cannot be overestimated. It is timely, and it marks a major development in the productive relationship between the private sector and our education system, both working together toward the development of our society. The introduction and integration of a STEM curriculum has become a major goal in education systems in both the advanced world and the developing world. If successfully implemented, the economic and social dividends are enormous. I've heard it said repeatedly that STEM will be the means by which we join the fourth industrial revolution. That it may well do eventually, but such talk is somewhat premature because Jamaica is still to fully join the third industrial revolution, namely the use of electronics and information technology to automate production and this way create an efficient economy. To be sure, the fourth industrial revolution, driven by digitization, the internet, the so-called knowledge economy, is already upon us in our interactions with the advanced world. But we do so as consumers, not producers. Before we can fully join as producers, we have to master the essentials of the third industrial revolution, which requires 100% literacy and numeracy by our people, which we don't have yet. As I see it, a STEM curriculum in many ways will eventually be killing two birds with one stone, integrating us fully into the third industrial revolution, even while preparing us for the fourth. This is a tall order, but we have no choice. There are three facets of the STEM curriculum, which this very important program addresses. The first, obviously, is the mastery of the fundamentals of math and science in such a way that students can build on what they've learned, not only for further study in science, but to acquire habits of critical and creative thinking that enhances productivity in the workplace, whatever they may be doing, and creativity in all other aspects of life. Jamaica is far behind in this, given the poor performance of our students in math and sciences. This program is therefore of fundamental importance in helping to get our students up to scratch. The second facet of the STEM curriculum is the way in which it is taught. It entails a new pedagogical approach in which there is a fundamental shift from a teacher-centered form of learning to a student-centered approach to learning. It entails a collaborative engagement with students so that they come to a practical recognition of how science works and how math is integral to any and all science and technology. This means a major reorganization of the training of our teachers, which this program addresses. There are three challenges here in this second facet. We have to incentivize post-secondary students to go into math and science. We have to incentivize them to seriously consider teaching as a profession instead of competing occupations where their science and math skills are very likely more substantially rewarded. And we have to incentivize them to learn the new mode of teaching collaboratively with a focus on students rather than on delivery by the teacher. This is why we need programs such as this Baker's Enhancement Scholarship Fund, which is aimed at doing exactly this. There is, however, a third facet of any well-functioning STEM education. And I think this initiative also enhances this. The best way to integrate STEM teaching is to create a strong STEM ecosystem in our society. What is this? The New York Academy of Sciences, in a recent statement on STEM education, describes it in the following way. I quote, "A strong STEM ecosystem encourages schools, employers, and nonprofits to work together to ensure that students graduate with both the technical and personal professional skills they need. It depends on governments to incentivize companies to invest in innovation and create promising new job opportunities for these graduates. And it fosters a mentorship culture that infuses society with an understanding of the importance and opportunity that lies within STEM careers for people from all backgrounds, Only through cross-sector collaboration can a strong STEM ecosystem align the skills and ambitions of graduates with the jobs of tomorrow and the solution to today's growing needs, unquote. Now, what's remarkable about the National Baking Company Foundation STEM Enhancement Scholarship Fund, which is being launched today, is that it is an excellent example of such an ecosystem in the making. We're not there yet, but in its inception, it sets a wonderful example and promotes just the right tone of schools, employers, and nonprofits working together to ensure that we produce the teachers who will train the students who will graduate with the technical and professional skills that our economy needs. I can assure you further that this government, and especially the Prime Minister, are fervently committed to the promotion of STEM education and to incentivizing companies to invest in innovation in order to create job opportunities for our graduates. Indeed, the promotion of STEM education comes at the very top of our Prime Minister's terms of reference for the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission that I chair. On behalf of the commission then, let me wholeheartedly thank the National Bakers Company Foundation, as well as Professor Michael Taylor and his colleagues at UWI for developing this remarkably well-designed, innovative, and timely program. It will make the world of difference to the transformation of our education system, to the development of our economy and society, to bring us fully into the third industrial revolution, and hopefully prepare us for the fourth. Thank you very much.
Let me, on your behalf, say thank you to Prof. Taylor, Dr. Coy, and now Professor Orlando Patterson for his endorsement of this innovative Boost program. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite the man of the hour, to address you, to bring their remarks. But before I invite our CEO and chairman for National Baking Company, and in his role today, the patron of the National Baking Company Foundation, Mr. Gary Butch Hendrickson, I'd like to share with you some well-known facts that we all know, but our students who are listening, our future fellows, our future National Baking Company fellows need to know. Mr. Gary Butch Hendrickson is the chair and CEO of National Baking Company and patron of the foundation. He chairs the Exim Bank board. He's president of the Council of Voluntary Social Services, a vice president of the PSOJ, the private sector organization of Jamaica, a board member of the Bank of Jamaica, Rainforest Seafoods, Stationery and Office Supplies Limited, and the King's House Foundation. And may I also add that Butch is a chair of the Straight Talker, No Nonsense Club. Butch was educated at Jamaica College, the Miami Military Academy, and the Fordham University in New York. He was conferred with the Order of Distinction and the rank of Commander in October 2014 and inducted in the PSOJ Hall of Fame in 2016. A true extraordinary Jamaican business leader who continuously gives back to his community. So I invite Patron Butch to bring his remarks And right after, I'll also invite Chairman Brian Jardine to bring his remarks. This is the real man who's going to send a check for us today, along with Alwyn Clark. So, Butch, will you please?
Thank you. Morning, everybody. This is going to be a private sector talk, very quick. Get out of the way so we can all get back to work. We have to pay for this stuff. And you're not having the best of years. Naturally, nobody is. Professor Patterson, Professor Michael, and where's my friend Andre? He's here. The good thing about listening to you is that I know that you know what is lacking. Now, the thing about that is now I know that you know that I know, and everybody else knows that you know what we need to do. All I tried to do was meet you part of the way. Because if you want a failure in education, I am the poster child for failures in education. My parents tried and they tried, and when they gave up, they tried again. And after giving up, they even tried one more time. And it wasn't until very late in life when I found how stupid and uneducated I was, I decided to go back to school long into my business career. And what did I find out when I went back to school? I hated it much then that I did before. So I kind of gave up on myself. However, not for 1 minute, I wish anyone to discount the importance I place on education. Absolutely. I believe I could have done better in life had I not been so silly and not taken up the advantages that were offered to me by my family. So let me get back off of my situation. Professor Dale, we're trying to meet you halfway. That's all we can do. I'm going to encourage you to administer the program well. Professor Michael, Andre, you know how I am on this. Administer it well, because I don't believe for a moment that I'm the only person in the private sector who is watching this situation and saying, but wait a minute, we can make a difference here. We can make a difference, but you know how it is. We like to see reports. Well, most of us like to see reports. You know, Brian Jardine will go and look at a balance sheet. Glenn Christian looks at balance sheets. Alvin looks at balance sheets. They love balance sheets. Me, I only like P&Ls. Right? And I don't want the L in the P. Right? And on that note, folks, I want you all to remember that profits drive philanthropy, because without those, we can't do what we do here. I see Glenn Christian's head bobbing up and down over there. And we have proven that. We have proven that together, and we keep on proving it. Unless we have the bottom line in the right position, we can't give. We can't give to these type of incentive programs that we need to have if we're going to move the country's growth needle. We can't keep on doing this thing if we don't have the right skill sets in the businesses. We can talk about it until we're blue in the face. It's not going to happen. The world is moving ahead too fast. You can't buy a black and white television anymore. You have to buy a color television. You can't buy a television with a CR tube anymore. You have to buy a television that's flat screen. It's all megapixels now. It doesn't have anything to do. I think it's cathode ray tube. Am I correct? Right. See, Professor Taylor is trying to go into his dictionary to fact. He's too young to remember that. He probably heard it from Uncle Burchell. You know, he probably heard it from his dad. But Glenn, you understand what the tube was. I said when the back of the television set is bigger than the wall it's sitting on, something like that. I can only appeal to you at UA, administer it well for us, as we agreed. Administer it well, you will see the results of this program. You will get retention of some of the students. You're not going to get retention on all, but the better we can make this program for people is the higher, the higher percentage we will retain over time. and the country needs it to grow. Really, really need it to grow right now. We see it in our everyday lives, the inability to do simple mathematical calculations. Very simple. I'm not talking algebraic or anything. I'm just talking simple arithmetic. It's hard. It's hard for people to do that and try and make their way forward. It's going to be an uphill battle. And even whether they realize it is or not, they are fighting a battle and they're not winning because they're not numerically literate. And as Professor Orlando just said a while ago, you have to be numerically literate to survive today's world. And so this is what this program is intended for. I spoke to Brian, Chairman Brian, about it. Yes, let's go. It is something that we have committed to at national. The foundation has been committed to it, and we have committed to funding it for the next 6 years. We really hope to expand on it. We really hope to see a way to expand on it. That's not a promise. That's not a promise, but we'd like to be able to expand it naturally. And what drives expansion? Success. You know, we need to see it. Business people see it. Where are we? Show me what happened. Then we all of a sudden we start finding money left and right to put into it and for investment. We see it as a long term. We see it as part of a contribution to our country, Jamaica land we love. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this morning. And I look forward to the student cohort really making the best out of this. Absolutely so. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you all for being with us here today. As chairman of the National Baking Company Foundation, it gives me great pleasure to be a part of this exciting event as we commit to boosting education in our beloved Jamaica. When my buddy Butch asked me to chair his charitable foundation several years ago, I was very honored. Butch's philanthropy, as we all know, is legendary, and I was pleased to be able to do my part beside him. Butch is someone who lives and breathes the adage that if you're lucky enough to do well, it's your responsibility to send the elevator back down. True patriot, believer in the potential of our blessed country. Butch's focus through the foundation is primary. Under my watch, we have given millions of dollars to special needs and early childhood education causes, primary, secondary, and tertiary level support, which is treasured alma mater, Jamaica College, and their highly successful robotics program, and many teacher scholarships, just to name a few of our endeavors. So when Minna came knocking, she found an open door. For those of you in the private sector like myself who have ever been charmed by Minna, or Miss Min as I affectionately call her, while promoting her special UE causes, you know just what I'm talking about. With that dazzling smile and endless persuasive was, the word on the street is when Minna comes calling it, your checkbook starts. Min just makes giving so much easier. With still so much to be done in science and math education in Jamaica, we at the NBC Foundation see this as a first step in the right direction. Our US $1 million partnership with UE over the next 6 years will impact thousands of students and will hopefully create a revolving cohort of the best science and math graduates that will significantly boost the number of STEM teachers available. Vote of support for the premier educational institution in our region. And I plan to enjoy signing every one of those checks as they cross my desk. Thank you all of you for your support, and here's to brighter tomorrow in our beautiful Jamaica. Thank you.
You just can't beat the protocol at the Jamaica Pegasus. Meaning, come on down and do your business here. Butch, Brian, thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, this is true leadership. True leadership, true leaders, true patriots among their peers. And you know, we have this joke within the task force, the private sector task force, that Glenn Christian and Butch Hendrickson are joined by the hips. They do things together. They give away money together. Thank you so much for your commitment. $1 million over the next 6 years. This is awesome. And I'll share with you very quickly before I invite our principal to bring his remarks. Last year, during the 2020 Global Giving campaign, I called up Butch and said, Butch, you're here? I need 100,000 US, you know, for scholarships for kids. And he said, let's talk about that. That 100,000 became $1 million a few months later. Thanks to Butch. Thank you so much. So you all hear about the challenges we're having at UWI, the financial challenges. Did I whisper that well? At UWI, particularly at Ramona campus. So this morning, our principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor Dale Weber is all smiles. He's all smiles because these are the events, these are the partnerships that he looks forward to. So, Prof, can you join us and bring your remarks, please?
Ms. Minna Israel, Master of Ceremonies and Special Advisor to the Vice Chancellor, who for today we will call the mobilizer. Mr. Butch Hendrickson, Chairman and CEO of the National Baking Company and patron, National Baking Company Foundation, who is the baker, the shaker, the mover, the conceptualizer, but we'll come to that. Mr. Brian Jardine, Chairman, National Baking Company Foundation, who today is the signer and the provider. Professor Michael Taylor, who I didn't know was a dreamer until today, but we dream. And Dr. Andre Coy, who carefully is the schemer. To the students who are the next STEM teachers, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm pleased to be here as Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, to bring greetings as we talk about building out our STEM Teachers Boost. This initiative being a very special initiative for the UWI, for the National Baking Company, for the STEM, and for Jamaica. I must use this opportunity to say thank you to the National Baking Company Foundation, which has partnered with UWI not just once, not just twice, but many times. And this, we think, will be the pinnacle in that the Faculty of Science and Technology and the Faculty of Humanities and Education have come together to put together what we think is a wonderful flip of what is our normal scholarship thought. I'm not sure if you realize what you've started, Michael, but we're going to start flipping a number of other things to try and move from one generation to another. The significance of this investment is that we will have students who will invest beyond the years that they are students into the next step. Over the last 4 years, the University of the West Indies has been very aggressive with its strategic plan. Access, alignment, and agility, trying to get greater access, meaning more students come to the UWI and access our education, but also that our research is accessed by those who need it. Alignment, which is what is being seen today, is taking academic and industry together for a common cause. And there can be no better cause than this boost that we're seeing today. And of course, agility. Those of you who know the university knows that our wheels turn extremely slowly. It takes 3 years to do anything. Here, this has happened within 1 year. So I'd like to thank those of you who have been extremely agile, who are teaching those of us to be more agile as we move it forward. One of the beauties of this program is that it will allow students, once they have completed in the science, which is the content, and the pedagogy, which is the teaching, to then actualize that in the delivery, and then they get paid, and then they get incentives. I see this as something that many students are going to flock towards, and those who had thoughts, perhaps I should, perhaps I shouldn't, will see this as, aha, this now competes favorably with many other things that I would have tried, but this is where I want to go. For many of our science students actually want to share that science. It's infectious, but to do that, you really need to earn. And when you think about that student's loan to pay off, and when you think about where you are to go next, you say, perhaps I should go take a job in wherever. We've opened a door, but which is going to make a difference to many young Jamaicans as they impart the knowledge. Finally, remember that teaching is a multiplier effect. Every teacher teaches not just the class in front of them. Those students go away and teach others. And they teach year after year after year. For me, when I'm through being principal, I'm looking forward to going back into the classroom so I can have that multiplier effect again. Because it's infectious and it's wonderful when you teach and the light bulb goes off in the head of a student and you see that little eye glint and I said, that's what it means. All these years I've heard that. It makes all the difference. So in closing, I'd like to thank the National Baking Company Foundation for their tremendous support in starting this initiative and continuing it, and working with us as we work from year to year. We promise to administer it well. We promise to share with you all the information so that you can take the success that you have started. We can benefit from the success that we continue, and the partnership will take us to the goals that we want. The UWI is still that light rising from the west. You've just given us more reason to shine. Thank you.
Quickly, folks, and this is totally out of protocol, so much like me. I forgot to mention somebody, and we didn't tell Minna. Christine Scott Brown, who was our executive director on the foundation, has resigned from the bakery, and she has turned over the foundation's executive directorship to Lorianne Samuels back there. So that for the members of the UE team, that's your target for the future right there. That is who you go after in the future. And I don't know if the chairman has met her, but Lorianne, I'm sorry we forgot to mention.
Thank you very much. And as we formalize the agreement with handing over the check, I want to share with you a comment from our Minister of Education, Youth and Info. Our Minister Favour sends her regards, and regrettably, she couldn't be here with us this morning, but she sends her 110% endorsement of this program. And actually, she is also looking at ways to see how she can enhance the partnership, the marriage. National Baking Company, University of the West Indies, and the Ministry of Education, Youth, and Information. Alex. Um, Hello. Hello. As we say thank you, and while the photographers, you may have some time, Mr. Spaulding, you may have some time at the end to do some more if you wish. We'll continue the program. Thank you. I now invite our science student rep, Mr. Alex Clark, to formally thank you. Alex? Is our first fellow, or first booster. Is it booster? So Alex, welcome and congratulations. You should have been in that picture. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a distinct pleasure. Mind my manners, good morning. It's a distinct pleasure for me to stand here being the first recipient of the National Bakery Company Foundation STEM Environment Scholarship Fund. Let me backtrack just a little bit, a bit of history. I promise I won't be long. Approximately 3 years ago, when I started my UE journey, it was with great enthusiasm and anticipation that I embarked on this experience. It was also a very sobering reality. However, while it was necessary to improve my circumstances by earning my first degree at the region's premier educational institution, there was a certain knowledge that upon completion, there would be a moment of anxious uncertainty while contemplating the next step in being able to live a life that I probably would have envisioned for myself. With options limited, my parents as my main branch of support, I started, I persevered, and I am now on the final leg of this undergraduate program. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine how exciting and exhilarating it was to learn approximately a month ago the prospect of potentially qualifying for this NBC scholarship? The possibility of, having your student loan debt cleared, getting a guaranteed job with an added incentive to the salary, as well as getting the distinct honor of being able to give back to our country. The value of standing as an example to young people that they too, irrespective of their situation, can beat the odds if they believe in themselves and put their best foot forward. So I immediately expressed my interest in this program. And with the support of my lecturers and family, I made the application. To say the least, I was overjoyed when I was contacted and told that I would be the first beneficiary of this scholarship, the first NBC fellow. I, who originated from very humble beginnings and have grown into the person you see standing before you, an integrous, reliable, and conscientious young man. I really must thank the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, Professor Michael Taylor, for conceiving this grand idea and for sharing his dream. which gave rise to the Scholarship Fund. I want to also thank the National Bakery Company Foundation and its patron, Mr. Gary Hendrickson, for believing in the pool of graduates from the UA and for investing in not only our future, but the future generations of students learning STEM education. Thank you to all specially invited guests who have brought or sent encouraging words or simply endorsed the value of the initiative by attending, whether in person or online. Special thanks go to the team of people that worked hard to organize and host this spectacular launch. I must also finally say thanks to my parents, without whom or to whom I owe an immense debt of gratitude for their constant encouragement and belief in my ability to propel myself to another stage. On behalf of myself, the other soon-to-be recipients, and the future generation who will benefit from this scholarship, I thank you all. Thank you very much.
As our chairman and patron Butch would say, we've got to go back and make some money, right? So thank you so much, Alex, and congratulations again. Thank you, Christine Scott Brown, for your leadership over the years. And I must just add, thanks to our media partners, and Emma, you won't go untouched. Thanks for your participation, and thanks for what we know will be front page news tonight, tomorrow, and for the rest of the year, 6 years. Thank you all so very much. I now invite you for refreshments on the outside. Thank you for spending the time with us. Good morning.